I'm Tom Harris, 36, CPA. I can read a balance sheet in seconds, spot fraud in a single line item. Somehow I missed the red ink in my own house. That morning I'm standing in the bathroom doorway, knot of a half-tied tie hanging off my collar, watching my wife put on mascara like she's gearing up for war. Kristen's in front of the mirror, black eyeliner, careful strokes, mouth set tight. She's getting ready for Megan Collins' birthday at Meridian Gastropub. I'm getting ready for another round with the Morrison audit. Liv, ask Daddy, she says, when our 7-year-old tugs at her dress and asks for breakfast. Olivia looks at me from the hallway, bedhead and big eyes, clutching her stuffed rabbit. I sigh, nod, tell her I'll make pancakes, while my brain is already running numbers and deadlines. I'm tearing through the closet for my blue tie. Are you going to talk to me or just throw clothes around? Kristen asks, not looking away from the mirror. Sorry. Morrison account. My partner wants revised numbers before lunch. I say. It's automatic like muscle memory. She stops mid-stroke and meets my eyes in the mirror. When's the last time you really looked at me, Tom? I step closer, kiss the top of her head, still half distracted. I'm looking at you right now. You look great. It's just this week. Once this audit is over, things calm down. She exhales, that bitter little laugh I used to hear only in arguments. You've been saying once this is over for 3 years. I don't want to be Olivia's mom and your housekeeper. I want to feel like your wife again. I remember thinking I was handling it. I put my hands on her shoulders and met her eyes. I love you. You know that. It's just pressure at work. Temporary. Older me knows what she heard. More promises with no date attached. Back then, I thought I'd smoothed it over when her shoulders finally relaxed. I didn't see her phone lighting up on the counter behind me. Rachel, her sister, hyping her up to look insane tonight. And a name I should have paid attention to, Evan Parker. Can't wait to see you tonight. Been too long. While I'm skimming an email from a senior partner, my mom texts, "You're working yourself into an early grave. Don't forget you have a family, Tom." I roll my eyes, shove the phone in my pocket, tell myself everyone's being dramatic. In the kitchen, Olivia chatters over syrup while I mentally draft an email. Kristen barely touches her toast, scrolling her phone, lips pressed together. I mistake silence for peace. Older me can see the scene like a freeze frame now. The irritated wife, the distracted husband, the warning from my mother, the unknown man texting my wife he can't wait to see her. All the indicators flashing red on the dashboard. I just assumed marriage was like a blue chip stock, stable by default. I was wrong. Meridian Gastropub is one of those places that pretends it's casual while charging you $20 for a drink. Edison bulbs, exposed brick, soft jazz, laughter stacked on laughter. I walk in 20 minutes late, still smelling like toner and stale office air, phone buzzing in my pocket with emails I can't quite ignore. I scan the room for Kristen. I find her. Black dress, hair down. Every head turns as she laughs at something I can't hear over the music. She looks electric. The version of her I used to see on vacations, before life turned into carpools and quarterly reports. And beside her is a guy with his hand resting a little too familiar at the small of her back. Tall, relaxed, tailored jacket, that easy posture of a man who hasn't had to earn a thing with overtime. She sees me, waves me over like I'm a friend arriving late to drinks. "Tom, hey." She leans in, kisses my cheek. Quick, polite. "This is Evan. Evan Parker. We dated briefly before I met you." She tosses that out like it's trivia, like saying he's from Ohio. My stomach drops anyway. Evan sticks out his hand. Firm grip, perfect eye contact. "Man of the hour. Heard the audit's been killing you." I look down at my conservative button-down, loosened tie, sleeves rolled up, then back at his clean lines and open collar. I feel like the before picture in a men's style ad. "Yeah, something like that," I say. He flags the bartender with 2 fingers, doesn't even look at Kristen. Cosmo for her, neat bourbon for me. The drink appears, bright and pink. Kristen smiles. "Just like college," she says, taking the first sip. I didn't know that was her drink in college. Somehow he did. In the moment, I tell myself I'm being ridiculous. They're just catching up. Old friends. She deserves a night to feel good, to not talk about permission slips and grocery lists and my deadlines. I park myself at the edge of the group, laugh when everyone else laughs, thumb over my email app like a security blanket. Older me watches that memory and winces. I see how she angles her body toward him, how she leans in to hear his jokes even when the room isn't that loud, how her eyes light up more for his stories than when I walked in, how his hand finds her lower back again and again, and she never steps away. My first instinct isn't to put an arm around my wife or pull her into my side. My first instinct is to give her space and go check my phone. I thought I was being respectful. Truth is, I just didn't want to face the fact that my wife looked more alive standing next to another man than she had in months standing next to me. The jazz quartet shifts into a slow number, something with too much sax and not enough backbone. I'm at the bar trying to unclench my jaw. She's just dancing. It's Megan's birthday. Don't be that guy. I'm halfway through that lie when I see him take her hand. Evan steps in like it's the most natural thing in the world and leads Kristen to the center of the floor. First, it's nothing. Two people swayed. Her hand on his shoulder, his on her waist. Something married people do with other married people without thinking twice. Then I see the details. His fingers settle lower on her back. Her head tilts toward his shoulder like she's done it 1,000 times. He says something against her ear. She laughs, really laughs, the kind that used to be mine. Her body softens into his weight-shifting, trust-given. I put my drink down and walk toward them. My heart's in my throat, but my face is calm. Half the town is there. Friends, co-workers, my mother somewhere behind me. This is not where I lose it. Kristen, I say, just loud enough for them to hear. She turns, cheeks flushed, eyes glassy from the drinks. Tom, what? We should go, I tell her. It's late. We have Olivia in the morning. I'm giving her an off-ramp. One last easy exit. She doesn't take it. Instead, she pulls back from me, but not from him. You're being a killjoy, she announces, loud enough for the band to wobble. God, can you stop trying to control me for one night? Couple of heads turn. Kristen, I'm not. You never make me feel alive. She cuts in, voice rising. All you do is work and lecture. For once I'm having fun, and you want to drag me home like a child. She presses herself closer into Evan as she says it, like she's proving a point with her body. And then the line that does it. When's the last time you made me feel like this? The room goes quiet in pockets. The band stumbles, recovers. I feel my mother's eyes on my back. I keep my tone level. We can talk about this at home. Let's go. Evan finally opens his mouth. The lady doesn't want to leave, man, he says, still holding her. Maybe give her a break. At that moment, it's official. I'm not her husband. I'm the obstacle. The antagonist in a story she's performing for an audience. I looked at her one last time. She doesn't meet my eyes. So I do the only thing I can to keep my hands and my record clean. I turn around, walk past the tables, past the stairs, out the front door of Meridian Gastropub without another word. Let them think I backed down. They had no idea that was the moment I started walking away for good. I don't remember the drive from Meridian to my mom's house. Just the white lines and my hands locked on the wheel hard enough to make my fingers ache. Donna opens the door before I knock twice. One look at my face and she steps aside. No questions, not yet. She makes coffee like it's a drill we've practiced. Mug down, sugar on the table, her sitting across from me in her old robe, waiting for me out. I tell her everything in one flat, ugly stream. The dress, the dancing, the way Kristen clung to Evan, the public speech about how I never make her feel alive. The part where she pressed into him while she gutted me in front of everyone. My mom doesn't dress it up. That's an affair, she says. Papers or not. I stare into my coffee and think about how, 6 months earlier, I installed security cameras after a neighbor's break-in. Front door, entryway, driveway. Back then it was about safety. That night, sitting at her kitchen table, I realize it's about something else now. Evidence. I drive back to the house while Kristen is still out making memories she'll call nothing later. The place is dark, quiet. Olivia's nightlight glows down the hall. My chest tightens and then hardens. In our bedroom, I pull a suitcase from the closet. Shirts, slacks, underwear, socks. Important documents from the fireproof box. Passport, birth certificates. My laptop, the external hard drive that stores the camera backups. Her side of the closet is untouched. My side looks like a clearance rack. I stand there for a long minute, looking at the bed we share. I'm not going to be the man who screams and throws things. I'm not going to beg. I'm going to document. In the living room, I wake up the security system, scroll through recent footage. Front door angles, timestamps, motion alerts. Everything's running, everything's clean. Good. I don't know exactly what's going to happen when she comes home. I just know I want the record, not her version. Her name lights up my phone twice, 3 times. I let it ring. I text my mom instead. Can you pick up Olivia in the morning? I'm staying with you for a bit. No explanation. She just replies, of course. I grab my ring finger with my thumb, slide the band off. It leaves a pale groove on my skin. I put the ring in my palm and closed my hand around it. That's how I fell asleep on my mom's pull-out couch. Fully dressed, suitcase on the floor, hard drive in my bag, wedding ring in my fist instead of in my hand. I'm done sleeping inside the blast radius. The night after Meridian, I live on autopilot. Wake up on my mom's pull-out couch. Shirt wrinkled, back sore, head pounding. Olivia's already at school. Mom handled drop-off like we agreed. Kristen's name sits at the top of my missed calls list. I don't touch it. Around lunch, curiosity wins. I plug in the external drive, pull up the camera software, and scrub through the timeline. My stomach's already in a knot before I even hit play. There I am leaving the house earlier that evening, straightening my tie on the porch. A couple hours later, my mom's headlights when she drops Olivia off after the party started. The house goes quiet. Night deepens. 1:47 a.m. motion alert. Kristen appears in the frame, heels uneven on the path, fumbling for her keys. A minute later, headlights wash over the front of the house. Same car I saw outside Meridian. Evans. He walks up, easy, steady. He shouldn't even know my address. She turns to him at the door. Long hug. Not friendly. Hands in her hair, his face buried in her neck. Then the kiss. Slow. Open. Familiar. My jaw clenches so hard it hurts. I watch it twice just to make sure I'm not exaggerating. If anything, it's worse the second time. My phone buzzes. Kristen. I let it go to voicemail. The message comes through a minute later. Tom. This is ridiculous. It was just dancing. You embarrassed me. Call me back so we can fix this before you make it worse. I look at the paused frame of her with his hands on her face, his mouth on hers, our porch light haloing them while our daughter sleeps 20 feet away. Just dancing, I say to the empty room. Late afternoon, I get another call, an unknown number. It's someone from HR at Kristen's company asking if everything is okay at home, saying there's been some chatter, and they'd prefer personal matters not spill into work. I hear it in the spaces between her words. She's already telling people her husband had a jealous tantrum. By 3, the school calls. Mr. Harris, this is Mrs. Lopez, the counselor. Olivia's been very tearful today. She said Daddy didn't come home last night, and she's worried she did something wrong. That one hits differently. I pinch the bridge of my nose. She didn't do anything wrong. There are some things going on between her mother and me. I'll speak with her. Please do, she says gently. She asked if her family was breaking up. After I hang up, I sit there staring at the wall. I can live with my pride being bruised. I can live with being the office villain in whatever story Kristen has to tell to function. What I can't live with is my kid thinking she broke something. Kristen finally gets me on the phone that evening. Her voice is sharp, defensive. The school called you before me? That's inappropriate. And you ignoring me is making everything worse. You came home at almost 2 in the morning, I say. You let another man kiss you on our porch while Olivia was inside. I have it on camera, Kristen. Silence. Then, Tom, I was drunk. It was one stupid mistake. You're blowing it out of proportion because you're embarrassed about your little scene at the bar. I hear myself exhale. Calm, cold. No. I was embarrassed when my wife grounded another man in front of half the town. The kiss on the porch? That's when I got clarity. She starts crying, pivoting. How lonely she's been. How I've been married to my job. How Evan just listened. None of it is new. All of it used to work on me. But while she talks, my eyes drift back to the frozen image on the laptop. Her arms around his neck. His hand on the doorframe of my house. After we hang up, I don't call a therapist. I don't call a pastor. I call a colleague I trust. Mark, the guy in tax who went through a nasty divorce 3 years ago. Who was your lawyer? I ask him. No preamble. Patricia Mills, he says. Didn't let my ex gaslight the judge once. I Google the number, dial, and schedule a consultation for the next day. When the receptionist asks for the reason, I don't sugarcoat it. Infidelity concerns. Child custody. I have a video. That night, sitting at my mom's kitchen table while Olivia colors in the next room. Something inside me finally shifts. I stop thinking like a wounded husband trying to win his wife back. I start thinking like a father who has one job. Make sure his daughter grows up in a house where the adults act like adults. 3 days later, I'm in a conference room that smells like stale coffee and copier toner. Sitting across from my wife like she's an opposing witness. Patricia Mills sits to my right. Mid-40s, steady, the kind of woman who looks like she's seen every version of this story and stopped being shocked a decade ago. Legal pad in front of her, manila folder by her elbow, tablet on the table. Efficient. Unemotional. Kristen walks in 10 minutes late, blazer over a blouse like she's going to a performance review. She stops when she sees the setup. Me on one side, Patricia on the other. You're actually doing this? She says, dropping into the chair opposite. Arms crossed, chin lifted, eyes already bright with anger. Patricia doesn't flinch. Good afternoon, Kristen. I'm Patricia Mills, representing Tom. We're here to discuss terms for legal separation with intent to divorce, as well as primary custody arrangements for Olivia. Kristen laughs once. Sharp. You can't be serious. Over a dance? Over one stupid night. Patricia opens the folder. This isn't about a dance. This is about documented conduct that calls judgment and stability into question. Let's walk through it. She lays out photos first. Printouts from that night at Meridian. Kristen wrapped around Evan on the dance floor. My face somewhere in the background, locked and numb. Another shot of her leaning into him at the bar. His hand on her waist. These were provided by multiple party attendees, Patricia says, voice even. They corroborate each other. She slides over a thin stack of papers. These are written statements from witnesses. They describe you as intoxicated, flirtatious, and dismissive of your husband's attempts to leave with you. Kristen's jaw tightens. People love drama. You can't trust. Patricia taps the tablet, turns it so Kristen can see. And this is from your front door security camera. She hits play. We watch Kristen stumble up the walkway at 1:47 a.m. Watch the headlights sweep past. Watch Evan get out of the car. The hug, the kiss, the door, all in cold digital clarity. Color drains from Kristen's face. I don't even remember that, she says quietly. Patricia doesn't soften. Whether you remember it or not, it happened. On the marital property, while your daughter was asleep inside. Kristen's eyes flick to me for the first time. You set me up, she spits. You knew the cameras were there. I hold her gaze. So did you. We installed them together after the break-in. I didn't make you do anything. I just made sure I wasn't crazy. She shakes her head, tears starting. It was one stupid drunken mistake, Tom. One. We can do counseling. We can fix this. You don't blow up a marriage over one kiss. I hear Patricia's pen pause over the pad, but she lets me answer. I lean forward, elbows on the table, voice steady. It wasn't one mistake. It was months of texting another man, dressing up for him, grinding on him in front of my mother, kissing him on our porch while our daughter was inside. The kiss was just the first thing I could put on a screen. She covers her face with her hands. I was lonely. You were never there. I didn't feel like your wife anymore. I get that, I say. I own my part. I work too much. I miss things. But you had options between talk to me and let another man kiss you at our front door. You made choices. Patricia clears her throat gently. Back to business. Here's what Tom is seeking. Legal separation moving toward divorce, primary physical custody of Olivia, joint legal custody with conditions, and supervised visitation for you initially, pending counseling and demonstrated stability. He will also seek a disproportionate share of the marital assets based on fault. Kristen stares at her. You can't just take my child away. I feel something cold and solid inside me answer before my mouth does. I'm not taking her away. I'm making sure she has one stable home. You'll still see her. But I'm not gambling her childhood on whether you're lonely or not. For the first time since this started, my voice doesn't shake. I'm not begging. I'm not arguing. I'm just done. Kristen looks between us, breathing hard. Please, Tom, we can start over. I'll block Evan. I'll quit drinking. Whatever you want. I think of the dance floor, the porch, the phone calls, the school counselor saying my daughter asked if she broke her family. This is what I want, I say. For Olivia to grow up in a house where she doesn't have to worry about which version of her mother she's getting that day. And for me to look in the mirror and not feel like a doormat. Patricia writes something down, closes the folder halfway. The autopsy is done. The cause of death is obvious. In that room, with the evidence laid out between us like tagged exhibits, the marriage finally stops being a feeling and becomes what it is. A file moving through a system. And I decide I'm going to see it through to the end. Family court isn't dramatic. It's fluorescent lights and scuffed benches and a judge with a stack of lives on his desk. Ours is just another file in the pile. I sit at the petitioner's table in my only good Navy suit. Patricia beside me, papers organized, tabs sticking out like color-coded wounds. Across the aisle, Kristen in a conservative dress, hair pulled back, makeup lighter than usual. She looks small. I don't take comfort in that. Case number. The clerk reads the caption. Harris versus Harris. The judge, Robert Harrison, flips through our file, glasses low on his nose. He starts with the basics. Marriage length, income statements, my work record, Donna's affidavit about childcare. The parenting calendar I drafted showed school pickups, bedtime routines, Olivia's activities. Then he gets to the exhibits. The court has reviewed photographic evidence from the evening of March 12th, he says. Eyes on the pages, not on us. As well as statements from multiple witnesses describing the respondent's behavior as intoxicated, flirtatious, and confrontational toward the petitioner. He doesn't say grinding on another man while trashing her husband. But I hear it anyway. And we have security footage from the marital residence showing the respondent returning home with a third party at approximately 1:47 a.m., engaging in an extended embrace and kiss on the front porch while the minor child was inside. He pauses there. Let it hang. Kristen shifts in her seat. Her attorney mutters something about context and emotional distress. The judge keeps going. We also have evidence that the petitioner removed himself from the residence immediately after the incident at the bar, arranged alternate housing, and maintained employment and routine for the minor child. He leans back, steeples his fingers. This court is not in the business of punishing bad spouses. It is in the business of protecting children and promoting stability. Then he says the words I never wanted to hear, even when I needed them. Based on the evidence, this is a fault-based divorce. The respondent's conduct reflects a pattern of poor judgment and disregard for the marital relationship. In terms of the child's best interests, the petitioner has demonstrated greater stability and reliability. The ruling comes like an audit result. Clean, brutal, final. Primary physical custody of the minor child, Olivia Harris, is awarded to the petitioner, Thomas Harris. The respondent, Kristen Harris, is granted supervised visitation every other weekend, subject to completion of counseling and continued sobriety. He goes through the rest, division of assets, me retaining the house, her car, some savings, a schedule for support. The pen scratches. The gavel never even touches the block. When he signs the decree, our marriage doesn't explode. It just ends. I sit there, staring at the wood grain on the table, feeling both 10 pounds lighter and hollowed out. On paper, I won. In real life, I watched a stranger in a robe explain to my wife that her behavior wasn't just hurtful. It was officially, legally unacceptable. The courtroom empties fast. People shuffle out, talking about their own messes. Our mess is now a stamped document in my hand. I'm standing in the hallway, back against the cool wall, decree folded once in my fist. It feels too light for what it is. Kristen comes out a minute later. No attorney now, just her. Eyes red, mascara smudged, clutching her purse like a life jacket. She stops in front of me. "Well," she says, voice brittle, "you got everything you wanted." I look at her. Really look, the way she begged me to in that bathroom months ago. "This isn't what I wanted," I say. "I wanted my wife not to cheat. I wanted us to fix it before it got here. I wanted Olivia to have both her parents under one roof." She laughs, wet and angry. "You're punishing me for one mistake for the rest of my life." "There you go again," I say quietly. "One mistake. It wasn't one, Chris. It was a string of choices you made while I was busy being the bad guy in your story." She swallows, looks away, then back. "When did you stop loving me?" That's the question every betrayed husband waits for and dreads. "I haven't," I answer. No drama, just truth. That's the worst part. Her face crumples at that, like she was hoping I'd say I hated her so she could file this under revenge. "This isn't about love anymore," I add. "It's about respect. About what Olivia sees. Loving you doesn't mean handing you the power to wreck both our lives whenever you're lonely." She shakes her head, tears spilling. "We could still. We can't." I cut in, gentle but firm. "I walked away from you to protect myself and our daughter. That doesn't change just because a judge signed papers." I push off the wall, slide the decree into my inside pocket. "I hope you do the work. For her. For yourself. But I'm done being the safety net." Then I turn and walk toward the exit, each step heavy and clean. Outside, the air hits cold and sharp. I don't feel victorious. I feel like a man who just walked away from the house he built because it was on fire, and finally believed it couldn't be saved. Months later, the noise is gone. No shouting, no slammed doors, no late-night pacing while I wait for a car to pull up. Just a smaller house, a steady routine, and my daughter's drawings held up by cheap magnets on a white fridge. Mornings are simple now. I pack Olivia's lunch, double-check her homework, tie her shoes. We drive to school with the same playlist because she likes it that way. At night we read, brush teeth, say goodnight to the same 4 stuffed animals. Stability isn't exciting. It works. There's a custody calendar pinned by the fridge, color-coded blocks, pickup times, supervised visits. On the days she goes to see Kristen, I walk her to the door, kneel down, and say the same thing. "Have fun. Mom loves you. I'll see you soon." I don't add my feelings about the supervisor in the corner or the tension in the room. That's not her weight to carry. I hear things because people talk. Kristen lost her HR job. Gossip doesn't die easily when you feed it yourself. She moved into a small apartment across town. The visitation reports say she shows up on time, tries hard, cries in her car afterward. Evan? He moved. Different city, different mess, I guess. He got the party version. I got the cleanup. This is the part where I step out of the story and talk to the men who might be watching. Affairs don't start with kisses. They start with ignored conversations, with "after this project," with letting distance feel normal. I worked too much. I took her for granted. That's real. That's on me. But her loneliness didn't sign my divorce papers. Her choices did. Here's what I've learned. You can still love someone and lock the door on their access to your life. You can be a solid father and a broken husband at the same time. And sometimes the strongest thing a man ever does is walk away calmly when every part of him still wants to stay and try again. I shut my laptop after recording this, check on Olivia sleeping down the hall, and stand there a moment, listening to her breathe. This isn't the story I thought I'd write with my life, but it's the one I'm responsible for telling.